So, this is an intense TvT. It is so freaking awesome. Like, it has been... Game 1 was just constant action. It was always dropping back and forth, close, all the time. Some bold moves. Actually ended up winning the game with some brave drops. And spawning up in the top left-hand position of merry-go-round for this second game, we've got the Red Terran player representing Acer, MMA. And his opponent to the top right, the Blue Terran. Represented by Gem, we have YoDa. Now, this has been a very, very interesting game, to say the absolute least. So far. It's series, not game. Game 1, as I said, just always the dropping, always the pressure. And there were some bold moves by YoDa. YoDa, how many times did he doom drop? The first one was alright. The second one into the natural, picking off the natural, that's honestly where he really swung things into his favor by a large chunk. It went so well. From there, he just got momentum, and momentum is a very tough thing to try and stop overall in TvT, especially as the game goes on. In terms of opening, these two again have gone gas first. Remember, this is what they did in game number 1. They went for the gas first, both into Cloak Banshee off the back of this. Still tense stuff going on at the moment. Went to see, not really much you can, within reason, guess off this sort of opening. They may both go Ravens first, considering they both went Cloak Banshee last game. They might be trying to get in the head of their opponent, metagame it out. The winner of this will go on to face the winner of Golden Zoke. That's going on in the other match. Zoke actually beat MC, knocking him into the lower bracket. That's no easy feat, so congratulations to Zoke for that. Factories, they're coming down now in this game. Keeping a close eye. No second gases as of yet. That's another good tell to see when they are taken. Currently, they're both playing literally within a fraction of a second of each other. Both players, APM, very, very, very close to each other as well. This is just two players who know their build orders very refined. Biggest discrepancy coming through at the moment with about a 3-second difference on that second gas timing. And it's just bonkers how pro these two are and how focused they are. So, keeping this going. Also, I've got to give a shout out to Dazox. Dazox, what does the L stand for in Madals? Well, he's worked out that my name's Adam Simmons, and Madals is Adam backwards with an L and then an S, and he's guessed that the S is for Simmons, and that's correct, and L is indeed for my middle name. Well done, Dazox. That's a very, very good thing. I get about one person every 6 months work that out and say something, so big props to you. Tech Lab coming down now. Over on MMA's side, he's also got that Tech Lab already finished. This is all looking good. A minor difference is that a Hellion was squeezed out for MMA. And that's because he used the barracks to produce the Tech Lab for the starboard, whereas MMA actually used the factory to do it. Did he? What? No. Yeah, YoDa has the Hellion out. MMA used the factory. So that means that MMA does have a couple more Marines. He's got a 2 Marine advantage thanks for that, in exchange for a Hellion. So it's a minor difference. The advantage of it is it gives YoDa a little more map awareness. We can see already he's moving out, scouting his opponent. For the moment, MMA, he only scouted early on with an SCV. Got an initial read of what his opponent was up to, but nothing too insane coming down in terms of those variations. Both are, again, looking for that Cloak Banshee opening. Both of them going for this. Both of them did this last game. Both of them went for the Raven off the back of it for that mobile detection, and it worked quite well. Overall, YoDa did come off better in that initial aggression with the Banshees. MMA was able to kill a couple of workers, but nothing on what YoDa was able to push on through. So MMA, he is going to be going in for that Raven, whereas YoDa is committing to a second Banshee. Now, this is where you start getting swings and roundabouts from what can be achieved with this. The second Banshee definitely has higher damage potential, but with the Raven coming out, the Marines are going to make short work of it, especially if a Viking follows that up. On the other hand, MMA can potentially get some more damage down. Has YoDa actually switched out? Okay, YoDa did cancel the second Banshee in exchange for the Raven, so he wants to make sure that he's got that detection. Although it's running quite late, it's still 30 seconds of completion. There is enough energy for a scan, and it's going to be used. The Banshee not going to get taken down, though. That is a bit of a problem for YoDa. It buys him time for the Raven, but he's still got to kill that Banshee. Meanwhile, he's trying to poke and prod and get a little bit of damage done. Overall workers killed 4-0, so YoDa has again come off just a little on top in terms of that timing. The Raven pops on out, the Banshee down to 8 HP. My goodness, this is getting close, but yeah, work count 30-23 in favor of YoDa at the moment, so his initial aggression with that Banshee has come off the better for him. MMA though, his natural base, that's about 2/3 done. Meanwhile, only a quarter done for YoDa. So YoDa's slightly behind on that second expansion, which means that there will be a period of time where MMA is able to mule, and that's another important thing. The scan was forced by YoDa, and I don't believe it was from MMA because he would have had the Raven out in time. As such, that means that obviously there isn't a... I can actually tell you straight away. Yeah, it wasn't spent for MMA, so that's why he's got 2 mules out, 1 mule only for YoDa at the moment. That's 225-ish minerals, thanks to that being mined a little bit quicker. So if we look at the incomes, actually despite being down a little bit in workers, MMA is up a little bit overall in the minerals per minute. Very important stuff to be thinking about, because it does make a difference at these early stages. Every couple of hundred minerals difference can actually add up very, very quickly, although the actual army supply that's down and the resources made is identical. It's genuinely exactly the same, and that's because MMA has quite a big bank, quite a lot of minerals actually just stocked up, not being spent. He's adding in a couple more barracks now in order to try and tackle that, but it's still just neck and neck this game. Overall, this is a sliver between them, and both in different ways. MMA will take down something there. I think it was a Marine. Maybe it was. I think it must have been. So yeah, Marine goes down there. A Widowmine's also been killed. That's a nice little pick off. Both players in a relatively defensive position with those 2 tanks up the front. The tank count exactly the same. So again, the tanks being equal, it's going to make it very hard for people to move out. The drops are really the only way to start going for that early on. A head-up push into this just won't work. The ramp's there, your opponent's tanks will be sieged, yours won't, and they will get the first shot off. They will win that fight. So the option is what we saw both of them try and go for last game, which is drops into the main, and there is quite a bit of dead space actually for YoDa, and this is frankly an oversight on Merry-Go-Round. It's a map where that can happen. Admittedly in these spawn positions, it's a bit out the way for MMA to go around there, but MMA note he's put these supply depots around the edge of his base just to see if anything is trying to sneak on in. YoDa, on the other hand, he doesn't have that. If we look at YoDa's vision, he's just got a bit of a blind spot around here where a medevac could drop some units, and that would be very irritating for him. It's actually something that happened to MMA in the previous game, and that's what accounted for a lot of the success YoDa had overall. Work count is now leveled out, 41 apiece. Both players on those natural bases, both players adding on a couple of gases. It's MMA going up to 3, whereas YoDa's going up to 4 at the moment. MMA again coming through with this cloak bang. She's going to try and get some damage. It's got 5 kills already. Attempting to get another one, will be able to succeed in 2 more kills before backing away. The Raven for YoDa, where's that chilling? This Raven slowly jetting on back, but not doing a very good job of protecting that base. That does start to level out the worker kill count, does give MMA a slight SCV lead. But what could end up giving him an even bigger economic lead is the fact that he's getting down that 3rd CC. It's a lot earlier than we saw it previously, but more importantly, it's coming down a lot sooner than YoDa's. YoDa didn't get a 3rd in the first game at all. He actually just ended up floating his main base when it was mined out down to his 3rd and saying, hey, that'll do. MMA, on the other hand, he lost his naturals, so they both ended up with only 2 command centers. But if MMA is able to secure this, it doesn't take a genius to realize that will give him a solid footing. It will mean that he's got an extra mining base, an extra mule there, an extra scan if needed, and that's a lot of information that's very important to you. Quick scan actually comes down from YoDa now, so he does get a good scout out on that 3rd CC, and in the previous game, this is what triggered YoDa to go for the Doom drop into the main. Although MMA clearly adjusting to this, 1 tank being kept up here. He's got a good amount of infantry in position ready to try and stop it as well if required. And this is able to be done thanks to the Marine at the front. That Marine just gets taken out now, but purely that is a safety net. That Marine would have died if a big army was coming across and said, okay, pull all my units. Because at this stage of the game, you're not going to be seeing like a big drop into your main base while a big army is also pushing to the front. This just isn't the army supply for it. YoDa, he is ahead slightly overall in the army supply, 75 to 65. So that is a decent-ish lead. Where's that coming from? Predominantly a tank. 1 tank advantage, 9 Marines advantage. That's That's actually quite nice. The medevac count advantage is good too. And MMA actually isn't... Is MMA not producing any more medevacs? No, he isn't. Okay. This is pretty interesting that he's not choosing to do that. Means he's got slightly less drop capability. He definitely can't go for the Doom drops that YoDa really did favour last game. YoDa, though, hasn't attempted to take a third. Note that again. MMA's is already finished and already floating down. Instead, YoDa's pushing forward. This could be a very good timing for YoDa. If he's able to get in this sort of vicinity, block off this third from landing, he'll be very, very happy about that. A scan does come down into the main base. There's a couple of units staying up there, as well as the sensor tower plus missile turrets. Bit of a giveaway. Did he see the CC land? I think he must have done. The CC was flying over there, so realizes, okay, MMA is attempting to secure up this next base. I'll just siege up around here, and Terran v Terran is always going to be the situation where if you can siege in a good position, it's very, very tough to break it. Although MMA spread relatively thinly, these two missile turrets and sensor tower really buying him the time if a drop were to come in to reposition units, and that's important for him. Moving forward now, a couple of shots coming down. A Seeker missile being used on one of the tanks. All, or three of the tanks for MMA now go down. That gives YoDa a 3-tank advantage. That's fairly huge. Army supply is in YoDa's favor. Another Seeker missile will hit but won't kill that tank. Auto turret taking a couple of shots now. YoDa considering if he's able to move up. He can edge his tanks a little bit closer. The Marines coming in for this. It's going to be a big move. YoDa feels he's got momentum here, is pushing forward. MMA is struggling on the army supply. 60 to 90. The Marines trading up against each other. The upgrades level. MMA actually has the tank attack upgrade over that of YoDa. But YoDa winning out in supply at the moment. His Marine count's starting to drop a little bit quicker. But note, all of those tanks are still alive. Not in the fight as of yet. Now we'll be sieging up. Ready to take the trades. But YoDa ready to deal with those SCVs that are being pulled. A tank up on the high ground. Going to take a few shots. This will be a fight that's won by YoDa. And YoDa wins the game with it. Taking this series 2-0 in very impressive style there.